Good evening and welcome to the Gers TV. My name's Si Leslie and we've got Jay here this evening. How are you, my friend?
I'm okay, mate. I'm happy there's a game again tomorrow. I think after Thursday I was a bit down, you know, especially after the start of the season we've had already. It sort of feels a bit negative. I think the fan base aren't too happy with how things are going and the performances and some of the players, which we will get into in this chat, I'm sure. So yeah, but I'm okay. I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm not really keen on the 4 o'clock kick-off, but
Mm.
it must be harder for people travelling to get home for it at night. But it is what it is. We've got to go with what we've got. Sunday football's the way ahead as long as we're in Europe, and hopefully after Thursday night we are still in Europe, still competing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll have the Conference League if even if we don't get through the next, so we'll have another chance at Europe,
Uh,
but we do not want that. We want to
yeah,
be into the Europa League group stage, which and if you look at the teams that we could potentially face if we get past this Polish side, it looked quite favourable for us. So we just need to show up on Thursday. But before Thursday, we've got a massive game on Sunday. And it
I
feels like
books.
every game at the minute is just huge. Already feels like we can't drop points tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Dropping
that. I
points would
think we
be an
can. I
absolute disaster.
think we need a performance. The fans need a performance as much as the players. We need a bit of confidence booster if nothing else. But we need to. I've said this for 2 years, but we need to start to understand who our best 11 is. We're going to discuss that in a wee minute, but we need to start getting to a point where we've got an idea who our regular performers are. I certainly know who shouldn't be there, but that's for another show because I could be talking about it all night.
Yeah, I know, and there's quite a few players that we're trying to give opportunities to, but I feel like they're just never going to get it. They're never going to have what it takes to play for the club. They could have all the talent in the world, but it takes more than that at this football
Aye,
club.
takes bottled in it.
But shall we go through what we think could potentially be the starting lineup for tomorrow? I'll get it on the screen now.
Yeah, I know you're saying we, but I think it's probably fair to say it's not just we. I think a lot of the supporters would probably agree with it as well. But I'll put that onto a stage so we can get us on it as well. Which one are we looking at? So just fixing that now for you, mate. If you want to quickly run through it for us, I'll get it on the screen. Oh, that's it. It's on the screen anyway.
Yeah, right. So we'll go through the team now. So we've got Panja in goal, we've got Sterling at right back, Macania and Fernandez at the centre half, and then we've got Romans at left back. Dragojevic coming in for his first start to play alongside Devlin and Raskin. Yokota, Shankland, and Curtis as the front three. Um, so this could potentially be one of the a starting lineup tomorrow. I know a lot of people maybe in the comments would want us to play with two strikers tomorrow because we are at home. But I kind of feel like we just need to have some solidity about the team. If you look at all the chances that we gave up midweek, on the counter, I felt like it was too easy to play through us. We kind of need to have that solid foundation to build from. And with the leaky defence that we've currently got in terms of like having Fernandez at the back who feels like he's still on holiday, I kind of feel like we need to go and solidify that midfield to try and protect that defence, but still provide that
Yeah.
the supply for the front three.
So let's go through that team and we'll kind of nitpick away at if there's anything we disagree with or whatever we think. Right. I don't think there's any real comment in the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper
Mm.
speaks for itself, unless you disagree with that, mate.
No, no, he'll be starting tomorrow, I'm sure.
I actually heard the Rangers podcast the other day. They're saying that they wish they had Butland back, which sounds incredible to be fair. But everybody's entitled to an opinion. Pandor's been all right so far. He looks quite comfortable. Giving him silly balls in Europe under pressure is not a good idea right enough, but he seems all right. He seems to be a good shot stopper for me.
Yeah, and I can't see that changing tomorrow. So, he's going to be our number one, and he needs the games. So he'll start tomorrow. And then we've got Sterling at right back. So this is again, it could be Sterling, it could be
McCrory.
McCrory, but I just feel like McCrory has come in for a bit of criticism already. We've had a couple of competitive games, and obviously he's not Tavernier. He's not James Tav. He's not going to be bombing up that wing and delivering, incredible balls into the box. He's not that sort of player. but I kind of feel like this is where we might have made a bit of a mistake in the transfer market, because if you're going to get in McCrory, I kind of feel like he is to replace Sterling, and we need an attacking fullback to play in these type of games. So having both Sterling and McCrory feels like you've got two defensive-minded fullbacks, and I'm not sure if that's. I don't think that's a good thing. I think you need to have a bit of a mixture. But yeah, I think Sterling will come in his natural position this weekend at right back. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Aye, no, I think that would be the it's not the ideal choice, but it's the most comfortable choice for me. It's the most sensible. I think, first of all, I don't really want to be too heavily critical on McCrory because he's still quite new coming back to the club. And it's the club that he supports and everything else, but I just don't think that he adds anything in an attacking sense. If you're looking for a wing back, McCrory's not going to do that job for you. And I also think it takes a wee bit of. I think if you've got Sterling's got to play at full back. If he plays in the centre, he's okay. He has a stopgap. However, he's not what I would call an actual centre half. Whereas when you've got him on the right back, he's got an attacking threat as well. So I'd be going with Sterling at right back. I quite like that, to be fair.
Yeah, I would as well. I think, yeah. I think he, to be fair, a fit Sterling is better than McCrory. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
So
I think McCrory the signing is a good cover. If 10 minutes to go in a game, 20 minutes, and you need to bring McCrory on for Sterling, I think that's a good move. He's that type of player for me. He's not going to be set the head on fire.
No. And then you've got the back two there. You've got McCann and Fernandez. Now, I really want to see McCann start. I'm surprised he didn't feature midweek, because obviously we went through the whole process of trying to fast forward his visa so that he can actually get to Poland and play the game, but he never played. So I think he has to come in. And then you got Fernandez, who, yeah, I feel like he's only playing now because there's no one else really that can play in his position. I think maybe if Ben Godfrey was fit, you might see if Ben Godfrey and McCann could form some sort of partnership, because
It's bad
Fernandez.
timing, that one's bad timing, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just fixing Lily, my friend. She has decided to jump up on Toby's. Aye. Fernandez, great player last season. He's certainly got loads of ability and everything else, but he's either still in holiday mode or he's trying to. His mind's on moving away in our club. He's certainly not focused on Rangers just now. How we draw that out of him, I don't know, because you're right. Godfrey's out injured, so we don't really have many options in there. And McCann, is it McCann we're calling him? McCann?
Yeah, that's what I'm calling him anyway. I don't know if that's how you pronounce him.
I'll be honest, I've got no idea what to think from him, apart from the fact that he's massive. He looks to be a really bulky, big, no nonsense centre half. So if nothing else, when you look at that defence, Sterling, Romans, McCann, and Fernandez, that's quite tough opponents in terms of size, physicality. I quite like the look of that, to be honest.
Yeah, we just need to get him playing so we can see what he's all about. You know, I've got a few reservations. The fact that he's from the MLS League and we've not really done that well there in the past. But again, you know, you can't. I guess you can't beat everyone with the same stick that comes from that league. So you're just gonna have to.
One thing I would say, even if he's no fancy, see if he can mop up the fanning about that Fernandez does.
Mm-hmm.
If he can do that and he can give Fernandez a bit of the arse and get him playing again, then that would be good enough for us. We just need to tighten up the defence and get rid of the mistakes.
Yes, I think we just need.
He might be the guy to do it.
Make mistakes.
He might be the man to do that.
Yeah, well, here's hoping, because if you look at the 3 goals we've conceded in the 2 competitive games we played, you could blame Fernandez for all 3 of those goals, right?
He's played a part in them, yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the goal against Dundee United, it was him trying to be aggressive and win the ball, and then he ended up being out of position and didn't sprint back, and the man had a free shot at goal. And then you look at the 2 in midweek just gone, he with a lazy leg just flicked out there to get the sort of touch on the ball, which gave the goalkeeper no chance. And then for the second goal, he's slipping in the most vital moment, but then he doesn't even bother to get up and try and put his body in the line to stop the rebound from going in. So, you know, you could put all 3 goals down to Fernandez, really. So he needs to sharpen up. But hopefully having someone like McCann, potentially that could
we won't know until we try it.
That he needs.
And if we don't play McCann and tomorrow, then that would be incredible, because when it were right to get the guy and then get his visa and get him ready to play in Europe. Never played him, so I give him a chance. Find out, but we can't really comment too much on him because we've not seen him. But Fernandes, back to what you were saying there, most of the things that Fernandes done that was wrong was concentration or lack of concentration. Basically, get the finger out your arse, son, and get back into the form that you were in last season because he's a player. He's certainly a player. But
But it's also
that
just
defence looked good, mate. I like that defence.
it's also a lack of desire, though. I feel like I look at him and it's like he's playing like he's half asleep. Like, what are you doing, mate? Like, we would give anything to be in that position that you're in, and you're just walking about, strolling about the pitch like you own the place. You've won absolutely nothing. It wasn't that long ago that he was playing non-league football, so
Aye.
what you can't be chucking this opportunity away.
You don't know what goes through a player's head, what's happening in their personal lives and things like that. There could be a reason for it. I personally think that he's maybe just took he's maybe believing his own publicity and what he's hearing. And the best thing he can do is somebody give him a right big boot up the arse. But he's a hell of a big lad. When they like to share a pizza with him, put it that way.
No, I know.
He's a big fella, so just hopefully he can get himself together. But he might also realise that if he doesn't, when Godfrey's back, he might beat the team. So he's got to play for his place, and that could only be good. But let's wait till tomorrow to judge McCann and Fernandes' partnership. And I think Tor Romans is probably one of the better players on my team. He's certainly the most form player in the games I've seen this season. So good
I thought he was
defence.
our best player on
Yeah,
Thursday. It's that sort of run that he makes and the ball that the delivery into the box for their own goal. We don't do enough of that. We do not get to the byline enough and whip a ball across the face of goal. Curtis got into a position when he came on, and he got into a similar position, but then he tried to loop it to the back post. In those positions, just whack it across the face of goal
yeah,
because you don't know what Your Shimiti could get a touch, or Asgard could get a touch, or whoever, or their defender would get a touch, and it could go in. You want to make them work hard to keep the ball out. Sometimes I don't feel like we do that. We make it too easy for them, looping
yeah.
crosses into the box for them to just head away. And
Romans has been the one guy that's done that
yeah, he's
regularly
someone
this
that
season.
he'll pick out a player when he'll get his head up and he'll look for a player in the box. He's got that ability. So, yeah, he's going to start on Sunday. But I do feel like if we discuss transfers, we need to be finding someone that can also really provide competition to Rollins at that left back spot.
Yes, yeah.
Because you want to have two players for each position battling it out every
The
week.
the
Knowing
problem
that
with
their position's not safe.
your point there, because I agree with you, but the problem is he's not the priority. There's so many. Well,
I
there's
know.
three glaring positions that we really need to fix. So yes, we need a cover for Romans, but that's not the priority because if we don't start scoring goals soon, we'll be in deep shit.
I
I'm
know.
getting allergic to this
Having said
dunk.
that, if Romans gets injured on Sunday, touch wood, he doesn't. But then we're in a bit of bother on that side. I guess you could play Sterling at left back.
But you don't want to be in that
And he can
position.
play there as well potentially. So you could maybe get away with it. Um,
So
I mean, we had
let's
Dragicevic playing right back midweek. We've got two right backs on the bit in the squad in terms of Sterling and McCrory, but Dragicevic ended up finishing the game
aye.
there. So, you
So
know.
let's look at the midfield. We're looking at a three-man midfield. It wasn't as it, by the way, just to show you, it wasn't as it created this team. We got it sent to us just as we were going to create a team, and it's very similar to what the two of us were looking at. So we went for it. We went with this one. So whoever it was that created it, thanks for sending it in. Right, three in the middle. Drajovic, Devlin, and Raskin. Now, I know it's been quite controversial. People are saying that Raskin's going, he's definitely leaving, everything else. CBLC plays for Rangers Football Club. We should be playing him. I know you might argue about the gamble of 16 million and things like that, or 20 million. I've heard all this stuff. Whilst we're paying his wages, he's an employee of Rangers. He's probably the best player at the club. I'd be playing him. It's quite as simple as that. I'd be playing him. And I think it was hard to judge on Thursday because we were chasing the game. But I think the Devlin Raskin partnership would be quite good. In fact, I think the three of them could play well together. But we'll only know if we see that at a game at Ibrox when there's a wee bit less pressure on them. So quite happy
Yeah.
with that midfield, to be honest, mate. Much
Yeah,
better than the midfield that started on Thursday, should I add.
Yeah, Devlin for me has to start. You see when he comes on the energy that he has, the way he can get about the pitch. And I think Diamande said this in a press conference a week or two ago that his energy is infectious and he gets other players
Yes.
going and we need that in the middle of the pitch. He's a leader. You can see that. He's constantly at his teammates and trying to get them going. So we're going to need that on Sunday. Because and he's got experience playing in these games as well. Obviously, he's been in Scotland for the last 4 or so years. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll definitely be playing Devlin and like you say, Raskin as well. He came on and he already looked like the best player on our squad when he came on midweek, and it's like he's been on the beach for a number of weeks after the World Cup. He's only recently been back to training with the squad, and he already looks sharper, fitter, more determined than the rest of the squad. So
yeah,
I feel like we can't sell him at the minute. We can't sell him until we actually
until he's
find a
replaced.
midfielder that can replace him. Dan Neil isn't going to be that, in my opinion. I don't think he's at the quality levels. I feel like he could potentially find his place at the club in some capacity, but it's a massive drop in quality going from Raskin to Dan Neil. So, in my eyes, unless we're gonna fork out the money to bring in Lewis Ferguson, we cannot get rid of Nico Raskin.
Yeah, and what I'll say about that midfield, I know it's only a three-man midfield, but with the wing backs on it, that's quite a tough. That's three leaders. That's three guys that could captain a team in the
Yeah,
midfield. And that's
yeah,
what we didn't
easily.
have on Thursday night in the start of the game. We don't really want to go down the road to keep slagging players off that are playing because I guess a bit soul destroying, but
Mm.
we didn't have winners in the first half in that midfield. Asgard is going to have to learn very quickly that the pony, the show pony, the tricks and all that, that's all right when you're winning and you're trying to show off at the end of the game. But
Yeah.
there's no place for that in the modern day football when you're trying to win a match.
No,
That's three ball winners that we've got there. Three ball winners that could create chances for us. So I'm quite happy with that midfield.
yeah, and I feel like we kind of need that right now. We just need some solidity in that midfield to protect our back four, just to win the ball, stop them from getting it, and just try and create something for in the final third as well for the front three,
Just
without.
going to answer a question here, right? It's came
Yeah.
up because it's a good point. I'll put it up. There's quite a lot coming up, but I've got the dog's been a pain in the arse on top of me here. Right, we've had to watch 4 seasons of Raskin. Tell me why people think he's the answer. I'm going to give you why I think he's the answer. Because right now, he's the best midfielder at the club. Whether people think he's hot and cold, I would agree with that. But on his game, I would say he's the best midfielder at the club. Dan Neil was nowhere near the level he's at. Could we replace him with a Lewis Ferguson type player? Yes. But until we do that, we need to start winning games quite quickly, as in tomorrow. And that's why
Mm.
I'd be playing Raskin. He's the best choice for that position. I don't think there's any debate on that.
But the problem is, right, you can have Nico Raskin in the squad, but if you have all of the other players around him are absolute rubbish, then getting rid of your best player isn't going to solve that problem, right? So I understand he's been here for a number of years and we haven't really won anything, but if you look at everyone else that we've had in the team, you know, that's the reason why we haven't won anything. It's not down to Nico Raskin. If Nico Raskin was, if you replaced, right, if the other half of the city replaced Callum McGregor with Nico Raskin, they would have still won everything that they've won,
Yeah.
right?
So the comments just came back in. If Raskin is the best midfielder at the club, then we're in big trouble. But we are in big trouble.
But we are
That's what the
like we are.
podcast's about. That's the whole point of the podcast tonight. We're in deep shit. That's the whole problem. We need to get that. We need to get out of this mess quick.
Yeah, and it's not, look, we've got the likes of Gassama, we had Antman last year. These guys were the problem, Shimiti not scoring for the first half of the season. That's the problem with the
Yeah,
squad. Nico Raskin wasn't the problem with the squad, right? It's everyone else around him. It's the fact that we didn't really have a senior left back until January until we brought Rommers in. We had defenders that would make mistake after mistake after mistake. You're looking at Club Brugge game, the first Club Brugge game, and the mistake that Giga made. In the first 5 minutes, and it's things like that is a problem with this team. Butland, seemed to, he started the season well last year, but then towards the end, every shot seemed to go in. With Butland in goal, so that is the issue with the squad, and I feel like until we can actually confidently say that we've got a replacement for Nico Raskin, we cannot sell him. I think if I was looking at the squad, right, and I was like, well, if we're going to play 4-4-2, we can only have four midfielders because there's only going to be two positions. But at the minute, I'm sort of thinking that we might stick with six midfielders. Raskin has to be one of those, You'd
yeah.
have Dragojevic, you'd have Devlin, you're gonna have Dan Neil, obviously, because we just bought him. Who else we got? We got Asgard will probably stay. Um, then maybe Tochi, and then you got Raskin, right? Or Diamande. One of them would go between Tochi and Diamande, I reckon. Um, but that would be a six then, right? We
Yeah,
and Raskin is the best of that six. We cannot sell him if we haven't got a ready-made replacement. Because if we sell him and we decide, okay, we're going to play with the 4-4-2, so we only need four midfielders, and then don't replace him, you're stuck with the likes of Dan Neil coming on and trying to control games of football, which,
yeah,
you
can't do.
know,
But by the
we
way, I
struggle
think
with that now.
I'm as frustrated as anybody else before I go any further with Raskin's level of consistency. But I'm speaking about it here now. He's just came back for the World Cup, quarter-finals, and he's my best option. We need to start winning games, picking our favourites and all that kind of stuff. We can be doing in a couple of weeks, but we need to start winning games quick. And Raskin's the best option for that, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, and but maybe if we see Dragojevic, maybe he
Hope
really
so.
starts to shine and can maybe take over that role. But
Let's look at the
from what we've
forward
seen
line
from
then.
Daniel so far, it's not going to be him.
Yeah, let's look at the forward line. Yakota, Shankland, and Curtis. Now, I hate the fact that I repeat myself all the time, but I seem to be good at it. Curtis should never have been sent out on loan last year. Danny Rowe was a mug doing that. As soon as Danny Rowe said that he's not ready to play with Rangers, that's when I knew Danny Rowe wasn't ready to coach Rangers because he was never a manager. Curtis is the most creative player in that team just now, and he's got an eye for goal. He seems to have more of an eye for goal than Shankland and Shermiti, who should have an eye for goal. And I've not seen him playing alongside Jokota yet, so that could be a good balance with Shankland in the middle. I quite like that, to be fair. I'm no over enamoured with Shermiti the last few games, and I think there was a bid in for him, and you just put it on the chat just before we went live, but I never got a chance to read it. It was yourself or Dylan put it on.
It wasn't. Yeah, I think it might have been Dylan.
Might be a
Yeah.
rumour, to be fair.
Yeah,
But anyway,
apparently a named Turkish club have offered 20 million, but I haven't looked into it yet. So, and I would take that, by the way.
oh, 100%. So back to the strike force. The boy Yakota, we've only seen 45 minutes of him. He looked direct. He looked a bit raw, like we expected. He's quite young still, and it's a completely new culture he's coming into. But he does look like the type of player we want: fast, pacey, and direct, and very similar to the kind of style of football that Curtis plays. And with the two of them playing, Shankland would have more than enough service, I would believe. We hear you, Lily. We hear you. Doug's even
Yeah,
talking in.
yeah. I think Curtis. So I was umming and ahhing a bit. This summer, thinking, well, at the minute it looks like we have Curtis and Gisama as our left wing options. That is not good enough for me.
No,
So I was like, well, we're gonna have to sell Gassama because I would rate Curtis higher than Gassama, right? Because I feel like you're gonna get more out of him in terms of just effort, other than because he's playing for his boyhood club, right? So I'd value that higher. But then you're gonna have to sell Gassama, and I don't think that's gonna be easy. But I don't want to finish this summer with those two as our options because you're gonna need that star quality. Like we've been we've been rumoured for that left winger from PSV. I think that might be a bit tricky now with Celta Vigo, and I think Burnley might be in for him as well. But that sort of player where you've got that mid-20s player that's had experience playing Champions League games, etc. for PSV, and he comes in and adds that star quality, but then you have Curtis to back him up, and to play his part in that as well. I would rather have that, but we're going to need to sell Gassama. So my other thinking was like, well, okay, if we can't sell Gisama, maybe we're gonna have to send Curtis out on loan for a year, just purely to try and bring in someone mid-20s of really high quality that's ready to go right now. But seeing Curtis's performance midweek and playing off the left because he played preseason in some games off the right and he looked like he wasn't really involved in the game. His best position is that left hand side. Um, Seeing that performance gives me hope that he is actually ready now this season to kick on, and he looked like he was fearless, like he kept going at his defender. He was always finding those pockets of space in the box to get shot away.
yeah.
That's what we need, and that's what we're going to come up against in Scotland as well. He's going to need to find pockets of space in the box where he can get a shot off and try and get a goal because we're going to be playing against a low block quite often. So I want to see him stay, but we're going to have to sell Gassama because we're going to need to bring in someone mid-20s of real top level quality, I think.
That's the biggest problem we're going to have in the next few weeks off the park is how we're going to get rid of some of these. The Deadwood, Kasama, who's going to take him? We struggle to get rid of Danilo. See a way seeing loan, I think he's on. I don't even think of it.
He's on loan to Botafogo, yeah, with an option to buy, I believe, if he meets certain. I think it might be an obligation if he meets certain
Aye, certain
criteria,
games.
but
So there's a lot of players that's going to be hard to get rid of. But if you look at that forward line, or the team, if you look at that forward line, we've not really tried that in the last few months or the last season. Two proper wingers, because they're kind of old style wingers with a natural goal scorer up front. People might say Yakota, Curtis and Shermiti instead. You could even argue Miovski would play well with the two wingers, because that's the type of striker he is. That might be a good shout, Miovski instead of Shanklin, but I thought Shanklin played well when he came on, but it's only 10 minutes he had or something on Thursday.
Yeah, I know, and I thought he wasn't going to start. I thought he'd probably be rested. I mean, he's 30, 31. He'd probably, be rested for sort of like a Chris Boyd-esque, playing the league game sort of thing. So I feel like he's going to be that type of player. But we're going to need him to be scoring his goals in the league for us because, you know, we dropped far too many points in draws last season, and ironically, we've already drew a game this season. We're going to need players like Shanklin to um to make these turn these draws into victories. So yeah, I think Shankland. I hope he starts. I think he will start. He's a captain of the club. It's our first game at home in the season, so I think he's definitely starting. But I do like Yokota. He only played 45 minutes, but he had that sharpness about him, that ability to just nick the ball off the defender's toes and try and keep us on the attack. And he's quick, direct, and I feel like especially against these low blocks, I feel like he could add value there. So and he's a right winger, he's someone who specialises on that side of the pitch.
Yeah. No,
So that's what
100%.
we're looking out for. So that's what
So
we need.
it's all about opinions. There's plenty of opinions coming in, guys. I'm reading some of them. I've got too many messages coming up. They put on the live now, but it's all about opinions, and we always want to hear your opinions. So that's my opinions. I've gave mine. You've gave yours. All we want is Rangers to start winning. The point I was making, I'm going to try and explain this point about Raskin again. I am as much frustrated, probably more than anybody else, over the last 6 months with Raskin. However, if we play him for the next 3 or 4 weeks and that helps us get rid of him and it gets us 3 victories, then that's better than him being on the bench and not getting rid of him. We need to start winning. We need to find a way to win. How I want to see Rangers playing and the players I want to see, I won't always get. But we need to start winning, and playing with guys like Dan Neil is going to be last season all over again, because they just look. We've got too many players that signed for the club that now look terrified to play for Rangers. They don't look as if they'll get any balls. That's one thing about the boy Yokota. He looked as if he had the strength to play for his early doors. But ideally, we want to get a box to box midfielder in and a proper winger. But we're not going to get that by tomorrow. So we need to play the best players available, I think, just to get this victory.
We're gonna need to get another right winger in though, because we can't just go with Yokota as a right winger for the rest of, the season, or maybe we'll get in a left winger and then think, okay, we can just chuck Kasama on the right whenever we need him. I don't think that's gonna cut it. I feel like we really need to get 2 specialists in that right hand side. Maybe Yokota is 26, and maybe you can go for, you know, that lad from Brighton, or I can't remember his name now. That was at Bolton last season, 21. Maybe you can go for someone like that. As long as it's a permanent deal, I don't want any more loans.
I mean, we could have a full show about the current topic, but we'll not be doing it tonight. We could have a full show about the fact that who's buying the players and why we're buying them for the chairman second division and things like that. That's another show for another day. The problem we've got to know is you can only pee with the dick you've got, and that's the best team, I think, on form just now for the game tomorrow against Hibs.
Yeah.
Or as close to it. I would probably change the Shanklin for Miovski to give him a chance. I think Miovski be Yakota and Curtis might be a good shout. Apart for that, I quite like it.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping that we get to see more of the likes of Dragojevic, because he could. We still don't know much about him. We've got some negative feelings about certain players that we've signed, but there's others that we haven't yet seen that could give us that hope. And I'm hoping Dragojevic is one of those.
This is just literally, we just have to hope to God that Makiana, we just have to hope to God he's a good player. And he's going to be that defensive.
I kind of feel like our whole season relies on this now, because without him, we know Fernandez is having a terrible time of it at the minute. Ben Godfrey's already injured. How fit can he really stay for the rest of the season? And we are going to be bringing in one more, so there's still that hope. But at the same time, we can't keep buying defenders that can't defend. We have to get law of averages. Surely we're going to get a good one that comes our way at some point. So let's
But
hope
the-
tomorrow is a really good game and you can
But
kick on.
what I will say is we've got lots of new commentators tonight, viewers, maybe because it's Saturday night and they're on the bevy. I'm happy. We've got lots of new people watching tonight, so thanks for that. It's much appreciated. Lily's decided to go ape shit at somebody outside, but I know it's good to see new people coming on, and we try and get as many opinions as possible out there. The big thing you can do for us tonight is like and share. I'll leave it with you to finish up. Che, I'm just going to put a wee banner up for the like and share.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. I think it's going to be a big week. We've got Hibs at home tomorrow, followed by Jagiellona, whatever you say, however you say it, at home on Thursday, followed by the League Cup game against St Mirren at Ibrox. So we've got 3 massive home games coming up. 3 victories are required. I think if we get the 3 victories, we get a couple of new bodies in the door, then things will start to look up.
Yeah, and just a wee shout out before I finish for my new website, brand new website, www.cherstv.co.uk, where you can watch all our live streams, all our past media, and all your up-to-date Rangers news from the men's team, the ladies team, and the youth team. The greatest football club in the world, win, lose or draw. Here's to the Glasgow Rangers. I hope you have a great day tomorrow, guys, and a good night tonight. Drink plenty. See you later on, Jay.
Cheers.